if you had heard about 3D printing before I was asking the interview questions.
No,
No.
not before last year, a year ago.
Yeah. And have you heard about it much since in the news and stuff, or no?
No.
No. Yeah, I think it's still really kind of a new and up-and-coming technology.
Mm-hmm.
Not very many people are doing it yet. What about 3D models? Sort of like being able to manipulate, turn 360 on a computer?
I think that is really good, especially when you want to look at them really closely and from different angles. I really like that too.
Yeah.
Even just, on a computer.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, so some of the things that I was hearing from a few folks on Banks Island in particular was that some folks said that they didn't feel comfortable handling original artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
They said that they were told to leave things and to not touch them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you touch this sort of thing. Do you feel weird about touching originals? You do?
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about it, but
I don't know why. They're so sacred.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're from our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
We were just not allowed to touch stuff, even your neighbor's stuff, or old, new, doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
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 But these ones are very special to me, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like interfering in some way. And probably some people have a little fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard some stories about, they told me a few stories about people getting sick or accidents when they took something kind of thing, or in the family they heard. So, but I was wondering because some people seem to feel comfortable holding stuff and then others not so much.
People don't have very much old stuff laying around in their houses.
Yeah.
They just leave them where they are most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on the person.
Yeah.
Each family is a little bit different. Maybe because some people are more, it could be partly superstition or really, belief in spiritual stuff that you leave stuff alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if it's your family stuff and it's given to you by somebody, those ones are different. Even though if they're really old,
yeah,
you treasure them. Like charms and stuff. Yeah.
Why do you think it's different? Just because it's within
because
your
it's
own family?
and it's given to you.
Versus taking it kind of idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know, sometimes too, maybe people think they're graves.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And you're not to take stuff from graves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't feel comfortable with that at all. Myself personally too. Yeah, I don't feel comfortable.
It's really, I know it's different between families or people.
Yeah.
Because it's different between me and my husband.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So even within that,
You tend to follow certain things your parents really stress on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're growing up.
Well, that's how we learn to do
Yeah,
things.
that's rules you follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that the original artifacts then kind of need a special respect and a special treatment? Yeah.
The originals do. especially not making money off them,
Right.
you know, and they're not yours in the first place.
Yeah.
That part would be really sad, I think.
Yeah.
That's why lots of our people are not really, don't live their lives based on money.
Mm.
Even if how poor they could be, it's just from ancient practice that's hard to get away from. And some families that are not as cultural, they really do well in the world today. You just know your boundaries and limits. But when you're raised really old-time way, there's no money, yeah?
No money.
Yeah.
Is that an idea about greed or inequality or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's same with some families about bragging and
Yeah.
putting yourself high on something.
Yeah.
Lots of
There's
people
a lot of that today.
don't believe in that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. A lot of times I think people don't really give their all in what they know or what they can do,
Yeah.
because it's you're ruining it if you start bragging. You might lose it. That gift you have,
Yeah.
it might be taken away from you the more you put it out there and the more you show off or, you know, tinker with stuff.
Yeah.
It's cultural teachings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's a worry about archaeologists handling and digging up and moving these?
Not really.
No. It's different because we're from outside? or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different in here, you know, your
in-
beliefs and
yeah.
in your what you're taught from your ancestors is a little bit different,
Yeah.
you know, so
Yeah.
but if the Inuit people we got to take back what, you know, was ours to begin with, because before this they'd dig up stuff or grab stuff and then take off with them, and we don't even know.
Yeah.
Our people don't know what or where they went or anything,
Yeah.
or who made money off them or anything.
Yeah.
But we're more involved now, so
Yeah.
it's just like you have to watch what you say even, you know, because we're trying to speak on behalf of this stuff. Yeah.
So, I think the reason that we're so interested in how people feel about originals is because when we're making something like a copy to help share that information, we want to make sure that we can try to do it as respectfully as possible, and as usefully as possible for people who want that information. So when we make something like a 3D print that's a replica, we want to know, I guess, if those respect that you would give to an original translates to this too. Like, should we treat 3D prints and other replicas with a particular kind of respect?
Yeah. It would be good because it still came from a people. Yeah, it's still somebody's culture, even if you replicate them.
Yeah. Are there any particular types of treatment things that you think we should be aware of?
Just that people would have to be made be informed of the item, where it came from. When you mention stuff like that, it's showing respect instead of saying, "Here, look at this," you know.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, be really vague about it. But if you say where you got it from, which area,
Uh-huh.
how old you think it is, the way
Yeah.
you do your stuff, that's showing respect.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because I think one of the worries is that with something especially like the plastic printing,
Hmm.
more and more people are going to be able to do that.
Hmm.
There are those kind of printers now in schools and libraries and in people's homes, which is really great for education.
Mhm.
But it also does mean that when you share that information, people can make those copies
Hmm.
anywhere. So
Yeah.
it's a yeah.
So, are people allowed to like go into museums and take a bunch of photos of original stuff and then go home and copy them? What
they
happens to them
can-
if they do that?
Yeah, they can take photos usually. A lot of the times, it depends on what the museum allows. Some
Mhm.
museums don't allow you to take photos,
Mhm.
but most allow you to take photos. Then they can make a copy of the photos and share it if they wanted to, or they could post it online. But it's very difficult to make like a 3D model from those photos.
Mhm.
Usually because you can't get enough of them to like stitch it back together.
Mhm.
So yeah, but for something like the model itself, like if a museum was sharing a 3D model and you could see it online and
Yeah.
anybody could see it,
Yeah.
they can make it so that you can't download it.
Oh, that would be
Yeah.
good.
They can make it so that you can't download it and print it. They can also make it so that if you are able to download and print it, it comes with a mark saying, like either that it's a 3D print or who owns it or whatever.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. You can do that. But,
Mhm.
I mean,
So right now,
Yeah.
who owns all this stuff?
all this.
Yeah.
This is part of the Ikahuk Archaeology Project, but the aim
Uh-huh.
is to try to get these will end up in the Heritage Museum, I think, for curation. The
Mhm.
originals, they'll be somewhere where they can be
In Yellowknife?
curated. I think so.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then, but the replicas, we're trying to set up a display in Saks
Mm-hmm.
at the school, maybe.
Yeah.
in the display and have people be able to like hold them and like ask about them and stuff like that. I'm not 100% sure about what's going to happen to the handmade ones. I assume also going to Saks, but I can't speak. It's up to Lisa, I think.
Yeah.
Really. So but yeah. So I mean, we're thinking about if we had the modeling of some of this stuff and then there was curriculum in schools about how people were using this and what it meant to people and everything, and then teachers could print out a copy in the school if they wanted.
Would they be able to have a class on how to make one?
I think so, but I don't know who. This is part of the problem, is that we don't know who. It's one thing to have an archaeologist come in and show how to make it, and another thing to have somebody from the community come in and show how to make it. And we don't know who still has that traditional knowledge, but I assume community members still know of some people,
Yeah.
So I think that would be a really good component to like be part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Lena makes some tools
Does she?
for working with hides.
Like wood?
So she probably learned from her mom.
Yeah.
So she's got some traditional skills there on
What kinds of stuff does she make?
scraper.
Oh yeah.
And what else did she? I think other tools for handling hides. Yeah.
Because that's another thing that we were thinking, if we could link people making it with like on a video or something to some of that digital
Yeah.
information. That'd be good. But because like
Even if you ask her how you made
Yeah.
hooks for like how you guys fish in summer
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
yeah,
That's
think that'd be
related
really
to
good.
stuff like this. Maybe
Yes,
you
for
don't
sure.
actually make this exact
Yeah,
stuff here,
but it's
but
related.
traditional stuff that's used.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. Well, it's related to one of my other things that I keep hearing from people, which is that it's really important. The information is so important because people are wanting to make things again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering why, and you mentioned that in the last time we talked about being able to make like needles, sewing things,
Yeah.
and why, I was wondering why you think it's important to be able to make things again.
They'll know, like for the students and
Mhm.
anybody, our people,
Mhm.
they'll feel better when they do stuff, the ancient stuff that our ancestors did.
Mm-hmm,
It's it'll make them happy
mm-hmm.
and proud.
Yeah.
You'd feel more like you're a part of it when you do something,
Yes.
not just listen to someone talk
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
I identify with that
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah. And this is, if you don't feel like talking about this too, but it's a kind of sensitive question. How did the traditional knowledge get lost?
Not by our own. We didn't do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Our ancestors didn't. It was by outside people that came in. And even with language right now,
Yeah.
it's a battle to try get people to have the want or the will to get it back, because it was, for a lot of people, beaten out of them. Yeah. So it's hard to try get it back sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Your own people would fight it because their parents were told, or they didn't want their children to learn, because they might suffer too. That's what they said. That's what they told our people.
Yeah.
Even the Gwich'in, not only in Iqaluit,
Yeah.
a lot of other people.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff were, I wouldn't say completely forgotten, just put away,
Right.
buried.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you start doing stuff like this, it'll start coming out too. So you're helping in that
I
way.
hope so.
Yeah. You have to be. I'm very thankful to have an outspoken father, because he never made me grow up in residential school. He refused them,
Yeah.
and they never forced him. Like, when you hear about all the forcing.
Yeah. They didn't force him.
No.
Yeah. Did that happen to a lot of other people in Sax? Or were you in Sax?
I noticed that with people that were in the Catholic faith.
Right.
They really listen. When Father says something, they all do it now.
Yeah.
They were so powerful.
Wow.
Yeah. All the Catholic students, we rarely saw them. The ones with Catholic parents.
Yeah.
And the other one were in Anglican was, I think, a little less lenient. They were more lenient on the people, but you still had to go.
Mm-hmm.
People just listen.
Yeah.
They thought it might be better for their kids to learn something else.
Yeah.
Because all this ancient life, it looks so good, but it was a hard life.
Yeah.
People never lived that old, majority of the time. lots of different illnesses or accidents, anything. So maybe they thought it was better for their kids, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, every parent